Okay, this is 15 minutes. This will give an opportunity for those who might be joining us to join. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you are joining us from. Please, can you all confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, please. We can.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. May I, on behalf of the governing body of Settlement House ADR Training Institute, welcome you all to this wonderful moment where we are going to be discussing a very interesting topic in ADR. This has to do with workplace conflict, how to manage and resolve workplace. And I am happy that I have with us experts in the field who are going to be the speakers for today's session. And without much waste of time, we are going to go straight into introducing them and then the topic for the day. Before we proceed, Settlement House is an ADR training institute that trains and certifies ADR practitioners within Nigeria and all over the world. And Settlement Hour is actually one of the continuous professional development training for both members of the Settlement House ADR Training Institute, as well as the body of mediators all over the world. It is our own part to contribute to the body of knowledge to all ADR practitioners, both within Nigeria and beyond. Today, we are going to be considering managing workplace conflict, mediators approach. And with me today are very prominent personalities and experts in the field of ADR. We have Mr. Samuel. He is here with us today and is going to be sharing his thought on this topic. And we also have Mrs. LOLIA, who is going to be sharing her thought also on the topic. Just by way of introducing our speakers, first of all, our lead speaker for today is Mr. Samuel Arobosa Osarenren. Please, can you all confirm if you can hear me?
We are hearing you, sir.
Okay, yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Samuel Osarenren is a mediator, an arbitrator, a peace advocate, a negotiator, and a distinguished ADR practitioner to the core. He possesses advanced knowledge and understanding in peace and conflict advocacy, community mediation, family mediation, workplace conflict management and resolution, peace building, among others. He is a minister of God and he holds a PhD in theology from the Redeemed Christian Bible College. He is a graduate of the Word of Faith Bible Institute in the Living Faith Church and a lover of peace and the youth. Osarenren is a graduate of banking and finance from the University of Benin. He has passion for advancing the gospel of ADR, which accounted for his willingness to volunteer and facilitate various means of peaceful and amicable dispute resolution. He is the principal consultant for FICMC Jurists and Associates Consult and the founder of Rehoboth Encounter Prayer Group. He is a certified peace and security consultant. He is a chartered human resource consultant. He's a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators. He is a member and a resolution specialist of Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators ODR panels of neutral. He is a member of the Nigerian Institute of Chartered Arbitrators. He is a faculty member of the Settlement House ADR Training Institute and the Nigerian Institute of Chartered Arbitrators. He is a fellow of Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management. He is a fellow of the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management and a member of the Society for Peace Studies and Practice. He is a current member of the Association of Multi-Law Court Practitioners and the Edo State Multi-Law Court House. Osarenren is experienced cut across diverse areas of endeavors as he consulted for Nigerian Youth Service Corps and the UNICEF as a master trainer in the National Adolescent Reproductive Health, HIV and AIDS project through the NYC. And he has carried out several capacity-built intervention in various NYC camps in Nigeria. He is also a consultant with GIZ on strengthening the system of dispute resolution in markets. He has attended several trainings and hosted several seminars and has modern technology as his toolkit with proficiency in computer usage. He has great passion for capacity building and research, and he is married to a beautiful wife and blessed with children. Please, can you join me welcome Mr. Samuel to this platform?
You are highly welcome, sir.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So our next speaker for today is LOLIA, DEAL-OLIGBO. By way of introduction, LOLIA is a passionate ADR practitioner and a friend. She is a an accredited attorney-mediator with the Lagos Multi-Law Court House. She is also an accredited mediation advocate for the Standing Conference of Mediation Advocate, United Kingdom. She is the founder and principal partner of Mitale Legal Practice, a full-service law firm with a strong focus and a comprehensive knowledge in the area of employment and labor law and mediation. In addition to practicing law and mediation, she is also a facilitator and trainer with Mitale ADR, where she conducts trainings in the area of workplace conflict management for organizations, companies, and SMEs. Other areas of interest as it regards to LOLIA is in customer conflict in the hospitality industry, as well as being a conflict coach. She is a senior associate at Whatever Partners LP, mediators and mediation advocates, where she co-mediates on several disputes within her area of expertise and interests. She is a vocational learner and erudite. She boasts of several local and international certification and training, among which, there are many. So I want to spare us mentioning a lot of them. And please, can you join me welcome Mrs. LOLIA to this platform?
Mother, you're highly welcome.
Thank you very much. So, thank you. Without waste of time, I believe that we have in our midst professional and experts who are going to do justice to the topic today. So without waste of time, may I use this opportunity to welcome Mr. Samuel to proceed with his presentation for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nachan. It's a delight to be here this morning. It may be afternoon, depending on the time zone you are joining us from. Good morning, everyone. Highly esteemed, Your Excellencies. You're welcome to Settlement R. My big brother, Mr. Nachan, thank you for this platform. I'm delighted to be here, and I know that I will leave this settlement R better informed than the way I am now, because we have great minds that will be interacting together. Please, if you don't mind, confirm if you can hear me loud and clear, please.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you all. I will proceed with the business of the day. Let me begin by sharing my slide. I hope we can all see my screen.
Very well.
Thank you. So in the next one, I'll be looking at managing workplace conflict in mediators approach. And I'm glad I'm sharing the platform with someone that is highly knowledgeable in this field. Managing workplace conflict in mediators approach. In beginning today, permit me to look at some quotes that will usher us into this topic. The first quote I have here is, the quality of our lives depends not on whether or not we have conflicts, but on how we respond to them. Because of our differences in culture and beliefs, conflict becomes inevitable. Conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional. And this can be accredited to Max Lucado. Whenever you are in conflict with someone, there's one factor that can make the difference between damaging your relationship and deepening it. The factor is attitude. And this can be accredited to Williams James. Please take this from me. The inevitability of disputes cannot erode the possibility of peaceful coexistence. With this, I welcome you to our learning forum for today. We'll quickly go through the learning objectives. We begin with the introduction. We proceed to definition of terms. We look at the components of conflicts, dimensions of conflicts, common types of conflicts, basic tips for conflict resolution in workplace. Then we will look at benefits of managing workplace conflicts, and we will conclude on this point so that I can give way to my highly esteemed facilitator to continue from where I stop. By introduction, if managed correctly, conflict can be a positive source of innovation. Conflict can be a driver for cohesion. Conflict can activate creativity. If unresolved, conflict can impede productivity. Conflict can reduce the morale of staff, and conflict can also lead to some good employees quitting. In other words, conflict has several sides. The choice is yours on which side to adopt in dealing with the issues. Dispute in an organization is inevitable. Dispute in a workplace is inevitable. Let's begin by defining the terms in our consideration today. Managing workplace conflict. What does it mean to manage? To manage means to deal with, to control, to supervise, to treat, to carefully guide for a purpose. Manage can also be seen as an ability to handle or direct something with a specific degree of skill. To manage means to succeed in dealing with something. To manage means to exercise executive, administrative, and supervisory direction of a business. You will agree with me that to manage is not quite easy. Workplace. When we say workplace, we are speaking about a location where an individual works. Either he works for someone that has employed him or he works for himself. It can be an office, a factory, a workstation. A workplace is any location. It may be permanent or temporal, where an employer or an employee carries out work-related duties, an opportunity, a place for an employee to interface with the employer. According to Cambridge University Press, a workplace is a building or room where people perform their jobs. Global Dictionary, we were told that workplace means a place where people work, such as an office or a factory. A place can either be virtual, a place can either be physical. Conflict. When we say conflict, what are we referring to? Conflict simply is a disagreement or struggle between two or more persons. And one basic characteristic of people involved in conflict is that they have different needs. They have goals. They have values and beliefs that are in opposition to one another. Conflict is an extended struggle. Conflict is a fight, a battle, a clash of ideas, a clash of interest and purpose. According to scholars, conflict is an expressed struggle between at least two interdependent parties who have goals that are not compatible, who have resources, scarce resources that cannot be put into common use. And apart from the fact that they have individual differences, they also are an extension of differences from external sources. Conflict is miscommunication, competition, power struggle, or cultural differences. And these differences can, at the long run, what's our corporate goal? Karl Marx, he developed a theory in an attempt to define and study conflict. According to him, he posited that conflict is a theory, that a society is in a state of perpetual conflict because of competition of limited resources. From his own perspective, he's saying that the fact that resources are limited activates the fact that there will be conflict. Max Weber, on the other hand, posits that there are three major sources of conflict, which may be economic, social, or political. Wright Mills, the founder of modern conflict theory, according to him, says that in his work, he believes that social structures are created because of conflict between different interests. We all know that the bedrock of conflict is interest. Once we have conflicting interests, acrimony will start. Organizational conflict or workplace conflict can therefore be said to be a state of discord caused by actual or perceived opposition, needs, values, and interests between people working together. Conflicts are either actual or perceived. Conflicts are either real or fake. As we progress, we'll discover that some of the things that we call conflict are actual. Some of the things that we call conflict are based on perception. Different perception can give rise to conflicts. Conflict may take different forms in an organization. Workplace conflict may include any type of conflict that takes place in a workplace or a workspace. Workplace conflict. Where do you work? I work in an organization. There can be conflict based on the organization and the establishment you are working with. Workspace, where you do your job. Workspace conflict is a broad topic on its own. It's a subset of work-based conflict. So generally, we have what we call work-based conflict that can be subdivided into workplace and workspace conflict. This comes under facility management theory. Conflict may be between managers or workers. Conflict may be within managers that have the same cadre. Conflict may be among workers, subordinates of the same cadre. Workspace conflict includes numerous workers having issues with equipment, materials, temporary facilities, permanent structure. A facility that is supposed to accommodate 5 staff, at the end of the day, you have 10 persons working in that particular organization. There will be conflict, and the conflict, although it is work-based, it is primarily occasioned by workspace conflict. When we have individuals that are not used to facilities on ground, workers that are not skilled enough to use tools that are valuable. It is a workplace conflict. It's also a workspace conflict. Since space constraint may affect productivity, it is essential to organize, allocate the available space efficiently, and minimize space conflicts. Please permit me to share this. A graduate of computer science from one of the institutes in Nigeria. She graduated with the first class, and she was taken to a company. When she got there, she was ushered into the computer room. And she was told, please, just show us anything, do something practical so that we can ratify your stay with us, because she was a serving youth corps member. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. She was staring at the computer, and they started asking, we are waiting for you, just show us what to do. She didn't do anything. And they asked her, is this not your name? She said, yes. This is your result. A first-class graduate. She said, yes. What happened? And she said, the 4 years they spent in school was majorly theory, and they were never taken to a facility for the sake of practicals. When someone has certification that cannot be backed up with ability and skill, that person cannot efficiently work in an office. And what do you have? There may be discord, there may be conflict as far as he or she is concerned. Workspace conflict, there's usually timeline, there's usually scheduling, there may be rotation among staff when it's not properly done. When there are interference, undue interference, all these can create constraint, and at the long run, conflict may arise. Conflicts are quite a natural part of every environment. Conflict can arise due to clash of personalities among different persons, either the same cadre or in different cadre. Conflict can arise due to clash of ideas and decisions. Conflict may be based on the difference in the personality of workers. We all know that we have different personality makeup. On the other hand, it may just be based on ideas and decisions that these two persons refuse to share. Conflict may be horizontal. We are talking about conflict that exists among persons of the same level, persons of the same cadre. Conflict may be vertical, between a subordinate and a superior. Conflict may not just be between one person or two. Conflict may involve more than one person, and it may take the form of a plus. An individual can have conflict with his superior. An individual can also have conflict with his downline. An individual can also have, the same person can also have conflict with those that are the same cadre with him. That is complex workplace conflict. In some organizations that are very large, you find different departments. Someone in a department may have an issue, a conflict with someone in a different department. Someone in a line of duty may have a dispute with someone in another department. And please permit me to say this, most times workplace conflict may be internal or external. We have this story. Mr. X had a dispute with Mr. P in the office. And this office dispute snowballs and begin to affect their social life outside. It could be the other way. Someone may have dispute, family-based dispute with somebody outside, and if they work in the same organization, that external conflict can be imported into the workplace. So we have imported workplace conflict. We also have exported workplace conflict. Imported workplace conflict are conflict that generates outside the workplace, but is being imported into the workplace and begins to affect the productivity of the office. We have exported conflict, and these are the conflicts that generate within the workplace, but it escalates outside the workplace, majorly because persons involved have where they interact outside. I hope we are still together.
Of course, sir.
Thank you so much. Conflict may be interpersonal, involving two persons. Conflict may be between an individual and a subgroup. There are persons that can withstand pressure. There are cases whereby a particular staff is having dispute with other members of staff in a subunit. Individual group conflict. There are instances whereby a single employee is having a dispute with an entire department. We have subgroup and subgroup conflict. An organization that is being broken down to different subunits. There are cases whereby team A in a particular subgroup may have a dispute with team B in the same subgroup or a different subgroup. It is possible that if a particular group is divided into four, three persons that are the subgroup may have issues with the entire group. Types of conflict. We have what we call the activity-oriented conflict. And this is the conflict that comes to bear because of a task that should be carried out. Before the task was given, there was no form of acrimony, but because a task is now on board, different perceptions, different interferences coming from left, right, and center generates into disputes based on the activity, as it were. When you remove that activity, the conflict may cease to exist. So there's the need for us to narrow down when there's a conflict. Is this conflict the result of an activity most cases, when a new law begins to operate in an organization, you begin to sense that the atmosphere is no longer as cordial as it used to be. What is the source? Is it an activity-based conflict or a subject-oriented conflict that has to do with the norms in the organization? And as we all know, conflict can also be within a specific group. There are instances, there is no issue in the organization as it were, but in a particular group, among all the groups, among all the departments that makes up the organization, in that group, there may be strife and conflict. At this juncture, permit me to ask a question. We were told at an elementary level that the human body is made up of different parts. We have the head, the eye, the leg, the mouth, the eye, different organs in the body. Can I please ask here now, who can tell me the most important part of the body? Can anyone tell me, please?
Yes, sir, I can try.
Go ahead, please.
Just as you rightly pointed out, they're interrelated. But I think the sight, the vision that give directive on where to go and what to do, to me is paramount, sir.
Madam Faustina, your thoughts are remarkable. I appreciate you for sharing your thoughts. I would not mind. Yes, go ahead. You have the floor, Mr. Denya. Mr. Bright Atipo Denya, you have the floor. Please go ahead. Oh, it seems Mr. Denya has issues with his network.
The nose, you should be so clear. I'm saying that all the parts are important. They help each other.
Okay. Mr. Brad Denya, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. You had initial conflict with the network, but you overcame. Thank you. Yes, Janet Natchang, your hands are up. Please, you have the floor. Share with us which part of the body is most significant. Go ahead, please, unmute and share your thoughts. Janet Natchang, your hands are up. Do you mind sharing your thoughts? Okay, thank you so much. We have two views. Madam Faustina said, all the parts of the organs are important, but the eyes, in her perception, she thinks that the vision is key and most important. While Mr. Denya said, all the organs of the body are important. Most times when we hold the tip of our hands, we do not feel the pain only in our fingers. We may likely feel the pain all parts of our body. So whether a department, a subunit, or a group in an organization has disputes and the other department, the other groups are flourishing amicably, there's the need to quickly take steps to cushion the effect of that conflict because it can snowball. Biology talks about osmosis. There's an osmotic force that can transcend a dispute from one group to another group. Okay, we have a message from Janet Natchang. I was actually speaking. I guess my mic had issues. For me, I think the brain is the most important part of the body. Madam Janet, you are remarkable. All your answers are accurate. Thank you for making this class interactive. I appreciate you. Now, let's quickly look at common types of workplace conflicts. Generally, we have the interdependence conflict. Interdependence is when two or more persons rely on each other in an attempt to achieve a task or reach a goal. This is an important element as far as teamwork is concerned. Most times you may have a unit that is made up of one employee. At other times, you may have units that is made up of 2 employees. Most times, based on the peculiarity of the task ahead, persons will be drafted from different departments, different units to carry out a task. The fact that they rely on each other makes the attainment of that goal a shared responsibility. If there's any issue that makes it difficult for them to relate successfully, it means that their goal may not be achieved at the end of the day. Let's take this case scenario. Henry is an engineer for a construction company. He requires some records from the site to enable him put up his report at the end of the day. If his colleague called Mr. Tom fails to submit the records at due time, please listen carefully. It's not that he does not submit his records, but he brings it late. The fact that he submits his report late will have a negative impact in the team as it were. How do we resolve this? It simply means that Mr. Henry and Mr. Tom needs to have time to talk together. That's what they call self-mediation between parties. Talk together clearly. It may just be that Tom may not fully understand the importance of timeline as far as the assignment is concerned. So Mr. Henry can assist him by reiterating the importance of submitting the records at due time. Tom may even have some issues that makes it difficult for him to submit his records. When they do not discuss among themselves, when the line of communication is not open, conflict may continue to thrive. Tom, on the other hand, may even need some assistance that will help him submit his work at due time. Now, Henry and Tom, they are part of the team. Henry has his parts to play. Tom has his parts to play. But as far as they are connected in the assignment, they both have parts to play towards each other. At a very elementary level, we were taught in school that the family is made up of the mother, father, and the children. Duties of the father to the mother, duty of the mother to the children, duty of the mother to the father, duty of the father to the children, and duty of the children to the parents. So everyone in the team has a role to play. Leadership conflict. Leaders can have unique leadership styles. Leaders may have unique communication preferences with which they operate. It is known that no 2 leaders can be the same. No 2 leaders can operate the same. Sometimes the differences that exist among leaders may become a challenge for team members. A particular leader, head of department, has been in an office for some years. And along the line, is posted out and somebody else comes in. Some staff may be used to the operational strategy of the immediate past leader. Now a new one is coming up. If there's no synchronization between leadership and members of staff, there may be a conflict. Leaders can help minimize this conflict by taking time to analyze their leadership style. I do know that in most cases, the leader is always right and the followers are always wrong. It may not always be the case. In some homes, it has been proven that at times, the parents may be wrong and the child may be right. But if the parent is a purebred African parent, he sees nothing right in apologizing to the child. He claims that he's right and navigates his way through. A husband may find it difficult to apologize to the wife when he knows he's at fault. I'm the head of the house. I'm the man of the house. That can lead to further crisis. So leaders can adjust their leadership style to help build connections with all unique team members. All team members are unique. They all have where they come in. They have their strengths and their weaknesses. They have how they complement each other. If Faith manages a customer service team, and under her, we have about 21 employees, peradventure, this is our first role as a leader. And among all her employees, one over time has not been able to perform credibly well. It is the duty of Faith to see how she can assist Fatima and not just throw Fatima away. No one is a tabula rasa. Every member of a team has something that he or she is supposed to contribute. But let's assume over time, Faith being the manager, she has done all she needed to do to assist Fatima, and there is no significant progress. The conflict still exists. First, she could take her time to reflect on her leadership role. What activates one may not activate the other. What instigates one may not instigate the other. Our perception differs. It is usually the case once there's a conflict between management and employees. Employees are easily blamed. But for those that have gone through mediation training, accreditation training, for those that have gone through different levels of training, you will know that once there's a conflict, the first thing you need to do is to ask yourself, am I at fault? If Faith is not getting the needed assistance and cooperation of Fatima, her employee, it is a responsibility to see how she can adopt and adjust new roles. There are instances whereby management always encourage their staff to go for training. What of those in the management cadre? Don't they need training? Yes, they need training. And it's not just enough to be trained. It is also enough to expose yourself to refresher trainings. So when there's a conflict, when there's an issue in a particular angle, there's opportunity for the persons involved to open up to seek help in form of training, in form of developing the needed skills to deal with that issue. Over time, it has been proven that information is not enough to bring about positive behavioral change. The fact that people know doesn't mean they will follow what they know. The cigarette, at a time it was being said, the Federal Minister of Health wants that you can complete it. Smoking is dangerous to your health. People kept on smoking. And they came up by saying, smokers are liable to die young. They know this, yet, but the information they have has not been able to make them skillful enough to desist from smoking. So that is where training comes in. Training does not just expose us to information alone. It assists us to adopt the necessary skills to bring about attitudinal development. The manager can also take time out to make expectations clearer and assist Fatima in setting her timeline properly. Working style conflict. Working style conflict may occur between persons that have different preferences. Some persons like to work as a team. So persons prefer to work alone. When you have these two persons together in a team, there will definitely be conflict. Some persons prefer to do a breakdown before they jump into work. Others believe, let us get going. We handle issues as they come. When we have persons with this different working style, what are we going to have? Definitely, there will be conflict. Aldo is planning a presentation with a few of his colleagues. The presentation is 3 weeks away, and he wants to see how they can break down their task into smaller bits, taking them day by day. And somebody in his team, Paul, says, no, we can just tidy up everything within the snap of a finger. There will be conflict. As you can see here, Mr. Aldo and Mr. Paul are speaking to themselves in a way that does not seem proper. Aldo can help Paul resolve this conflict. It is being said, when everybody is talking, nobody is talking. And when the persons involved in the conflict have the same level of irritation, have the same level of understanding, there can be no headway. It takes one that is informed and reformed to assist others in their challenges. So when we are talking about mediating workplace conflict, we are simply saying that those that we assist in this process are those that have been able to go through the training, not just going through the training, have the required skill to assist others. There are instances whereby someone comes on board a team, and initially some set of persons always give him stress because of the skill this leader have acquired over time. The same persons that were initially a stumbling block becomes their greatest asset because of the skill that they have. Permit me to say here and now, you don't have to like somebody to work with the person. True or false? I want us to respond to this. You don't have to like somebody before you can work with the person. We have colleagues saying, I can't work with Mr. Timothy, I don't like him, I can't work with him. So the question is, you need to like somebody before you can work with the person. Please unmute and share your thoughts if you don't mind. I'd like to take responses at this point. Hello, please, can I have 1 or 2 persons make comments on this? Yes, can we take 1 or 2 comments, please, if you don't mind? Okay, I can see Galaxy A50, your hands are up. Please unmute and share your thoughts.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, Mr.
Mr.
Daniel.
I want to make a comment.
Please go ahead, sir.
My contribution is that if, for example, if you have a personality clash, in that particular situation, I don't know how you'll be able to work with the person when there's that personality clash, if you may have to clarify that. Okay, I understand that, yes, you don't have to like the person in order to work together, but when there is a personality clash, it is going to be rather difficult.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Daniel, for sharing your thoughts. Yes, I think.
Yeah, Faustina on the line, please.
Yes, please go ahead, Madam Faustina.
Okay, in my own perception, I think there are formal ways and informal ways of operation. In the working sector, I think it's personalizing issues is not okay. There are standards laid by organization in which everyone should comply. So if you are working on compliance of the rules and regulation of operation of the company, I think there will be no crash because it's formally established. But when you take things personally, it becomes a personal issue that brings conflict, that will make the team harmonious effort to see that organizational goals and objectives are being achieved. So that's the way I'm seeing it. So taking things personal in an organization is not okay by me, but making it formal according to rules and regulations laid down for workers' operation, I think is a expedient for us to, Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Justina. Your thoughts are highly inspirational. Yes, we have some Galaxy A50. You wanted to share your thoughts. The floor is yours. You can take a few seconds to share your thoughts.
Yes,
Okay.
my contribution is, I believe there is no way you can get along with somebody that you don't like, because whatever the person does will irritate you. Even when the person is trying his best, you will not see the best, the good he is doing. But like she said, in a corporate organization, we should try to avoid that, whether I like this person or I don't like it. If we can avoid it, I think it is better.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I appreciate you. Someone else is up, Tinola Kokuyi. The floor is yours. You can share your thoughts. That will continue quickly. Titiola Kokuyi, please, your hands are up. Okay, maybe we'll come back to you. Thank you for all the thoughts you shared. I don't think anyone, when at the point of employment, you are asked, you are taken before all the members of staff. They show all of them to you. Do you like this person? Do you like this person? Can you work here? I don't think so. This brings the fact that there are other trainings we need to subject ourselves to. There are other trainings we need to undergo that can help us comport ourselves. Basically, when you are part of the team, it means your decision, your idea is subsumed by the overall idea of the team. You don't need to like someone to work with the person. This is if you see the attainment of the corporate goal paramount when compared to your personal and individual issues. We have personality conflict. I think we've been able to talk about this much earlier. Okay. Looking at Halima and Abdul, whenever Halima is speaking, Abdul likes to interrupt. He takes delight in interrupting. And this continued for a long time. It took Halima time to speak up to Abdul. What is the issue? And it was then Abdul made her to understand that whenever you are speaking, people don't hear you clearly. So we need you. I'm only trying my best to assist you in bringing your communication down to the others. At another point, Abdul may just be trying to get on the nerves of Halima based on some issues they've had in the past. Basically, how do we overcome this? We must understand that everyone is unique. In one of the trainings I attended, Ambassador Shego Guyon said this to us, reading from a book. He said, no one has the right to make you happy or sad. It is your right to make yourself happy or sad. So do not give that platform to somebody else. Everybody is unique. We all speak and react based on how we see things, what we understand, and how we want to behave. So when you see persons behaving in a way that you do not find comfortable, that is why that person is not you. That is why that person differs from you. Professionals, we look at issues from different perspectives. The way an accountant will view issue will differ from the way an engineer will view the issue. We also differ from the way an architect will view the issue. So in most cases, conflict may arise based on the background the individuals have. And how do we resolve this? It can be resolved when you make everyone have an opportunity to share their thoughts. When they share their thoughts, it can be ratified with the overall goal and objective of the company. Don't forget, we are all together because we are working in the same organization. So any activity that will not enable us fulfill and execute the corporate goal of the organization will not be tolerated. Conflict is always negative and should be avoided at work. Conflict is inevitable, but the impact of conflict can be managed. Some persons believe conflict is negative. On the contrary, conflict may not be as negative as we think it is. We need a level of conflict to maintain sanity in our organization. We are being told when a child is being immunized, what is happening? What you are trying to prevent. Please, if you are not having the floor, if you don't mind, please mute your mic. Thank you. When a child is being immunized, what is the essence? What you are trying to prevent him from is what you are putting into the child in a neutralized format to enable him fight the dispute. There's another myth. Difficult people are always the cause of the conflict. This may not be true. People behave based on the understanding. And if we can have them to work on the understanding, they may turn out to become better. People always say the problem at the root of a conflict is usually obvious. Don't forget, we all see differently. What you call a 6 may be 9 to somebody else. The problem may not be obvious. The fact that it's obvious to you may not mean it is obvious to somebody else. So when you can see the problem and somebody else cannot see the problem, what it means there's a disconnect, and we need to reconnect to see how we can jointly solve it. It has been said that in conflict, there are always winners and losers. That may not be the case. It depends on how you decide to view it. If you want to look at it from a combative angle, yes, there may be winners or losers. But if you want to look at it as a team, it simply means that we must see how we can make it a win-win situation. Some persons believe it is the manager's responsibility to fix the problem in the team. Most times, the person you despise most may be the one that has answers to some questions. So it depends on the disposition of the leader. Am I disposed and open-hearted enough to take responses from my team members, or I always believe I know it all? Some persons believe once a problem comes up, once there's conflict, it should be resolved immediately. This may not be a golden bullet. Most times, you address issues immediately they are noticed. Most times, there's the need to allow some conflict, a little space, so that it can be well understood. So the method you adopt is based on the peculiarity of your organization. It is important to set clear expectations. Expectations must be clearly set in order to achieve your intervention. Build active listening skills. It has been said that some people hear, but they don't listen. Others will say they listen, but they don't hear. You will agree with me that we have both verbal and non-verbal communication strategies. There's a parable in the place I came from. They will always tell you, when you visit someone, you meet the person eating, and the person tells you, come and join me to eat. We don't look at what the person is saying with his mouth. We look at the person's eyes, because the mouth may be saying, come and eat with me, but the eyes are saying, what are you doing here? Why are you coming to my place now? So you must build active listening skills in carrying out conflict resolution in the workplace. You should listen with every part of your body. Listen to what people are saying and listen to what the parties are not saying, because most times non-verbal cues are crucial in resolving disputes. Use neutral terms and open body language. When you are resolving the dispute in the workplace as a mediator, don't use coded languages. Use open terms that everyone on board will be able to understand. Recognize and respect personal differences. Everybody is not the same. Don't be judgmental. Understand they are from different backgrounds. So you must recognize and respect personal differences. How to manage conflicts in the workplace. Evaluate the situation. Know the first step to take. Choose a location and time to address the conflict. Most times the conflict can be addressed within the workplace. At other times, there may be a need to look for a neutral location to look at the disputes, and you should be skillful enough to identify the accurate time to handle that dispute. Communicate clearly and calmly, listen attentively, collaborate to find possible solutions. You may not be able to impute solution on the parties. Remember, mediation is party-driven. There's need for you to enable, work with the persons in the conflict, because you are not a judge. Work with the persons in the conflict to see how you can successfully assist them in resolving their disputes. Review and rehearse the solution. Develop your conflict resolution skills through training and retraining, through engagement. Many persons are certified, but the question is, what are you doing with your certification? What are you doing with the skills you had? If no one is ready to hire you, you can hire yourself. You can volunteer in SHATI House, volunteer, do voluntary services. By then you are sharpening your skills. Opportunity favors the prepared. If the issues before you as a mediator are what you know you don't have skill about, you easily disclose and look for persons, individuals that can assist you. Like someone said, don't forget, what is feasible in an organization may not be feasible in another organization. When you are resolving conflict, understand the guidelines, the rules that are applicable in that particular organization. Let the people tell you their story. Don't crucify them even before they give their story. Bring a reality check to the table. Identify the true impediments. Learn to read minds. It talks about emotional intelligence. There's a training on emotional intelligence. Think creatively about what people can say. Take the spotlight off someone who is refusing to budge. When you are mediating workplace conflict, we are being told that mediators don't emphasize the problem. They see how to explore options for possible resolution. Mediators, we separate the people, the parties from the problem. The people in conflict are seeing each other as the problem, but you are coming from a neutral perspective. You don't see any of them from the problem. You enable them see the problem itself. Realize that every conflict cannot be solved. All conflicts cannot be solved. Some can be solved, others cannot be solved. The ones that cannot be solved can be referred for further resolution, because in mediation, parties are key. We are being told at the end of a mediation session, if parties are unable to resolve, it is not the mediator that failed. It is not mediation that failed. It is the parties that failed. I think I've been able to do justice to, to the topic within the limited time frame that I have. And I do know that continue from here, a colleague is standing by to take it up further to a higher level. I must thank you so much for giving me this precious time of yours to interface and interact with you. Okay, there's a message on the chat box. Thank you so much. Before we call it a day, let me quickly. Yeah. Right. A mediator will never be alarmed because there's a conflict. Because in every conflict, the mediator sees possibilities in the conflict. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Nacha. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much. Mr. Nacha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that well explained session. It's actually interesting and nice having you here. So without waste of time, I will invite those who have some questions to drop them on the chat box, or after the second speaker finish speaking, you can be given opportunity to ask further questions. So let me invite Mrs. LOLIA. Mrs. LOLIA is an interesting person to listen to. And please, you have the floor, man.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on workplace dispute resolution or conflict management. Mr. Samuel, I'd like to just commend you for a very concise lecture there. You touched basically on every single thing. So you've made my job extremely easy at this point. Let me start by
Thank you so much.
yes. So let me start by sharing my screen. Can everyone see my screen, please? Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, please.
Okay, all right. Let me start by sharing my screen. Okay, so managing workplace conflict, a mediator's approach. This is the topic for today. Of course, Nanchan, I don't know if you did justice to my introduction. You left out quite a lot, but I guess we already know we have a picture of what it is. And of course, this is my introduction here. I won't, bore you too much with that as well. We'll get straight into it. Just one second, I'm trying to remove, is this tab showing?
Yes.
Chan. Oh, how do I remove this tab? Because it's actually blocking my, I can't see some things at the bottom there. Is there a way to remove it?
Which of the tab, please?
Oh, I'm not sure if you can see the tab on the bottom. There's a tab showing like it has all the.
Okay.
Is that showing on the screen, on the shared screen?
No, it's not showing on the share screen. No.
Oh, it's not showing on the shared screen. Okay.
No, please.
Let me see. Okay, I've done something about it. Okay, that's fine. So sorry about that. So yeah, in introductions, basically what I'm going to cover here in this training is just go over what workplace conflict is. I will talk about the impact on what workplace conflict is on employee productivity. And then, of course, I'm going to introduce what mediation is and as an effective approach to resolving workplace conflicts. I'm so sorry. I don't know whether it's my network that is causing everything to be sluggish. Okay, so in defining workplace conflict or organizational conflict, it is a state of discord caused by the actual or perceived opposition of needs, values, and interests between people working together. And it takes many forms in organizations. Like Mr. Samuel explained, workplace conflict, I'm sure we've all had our share of one dispute or another. So conflict is not a new phenomenon to human beings. It's been around for as long as human beings have been around. And everyone has had their, certain experiences about it. If you don't work in a work environment, you have definitely had a personal encounter with someone where you had a disagreement, or you were not seeing at the same, you were not seeing issues the same way. That is a dispute, that is a conflict. But when it occurs in the workplace, it definitely is termed as organizational conflict or workplace conflict. This is getting, so sorry guys, this is my network acting up. Of course, it can take many forms. It might be an individual with a grievance. It can be a problem between an employee and an employer, or conflict even between co-workers. So it can even be conflict between a customer and an employee. As long as it happens in the workplace, it's termed as workplace conflict. So we're going to look at the issues that can cause conflict between individuals or groups at work. And unresolved problems from the past is definitely one of them, where people come into work with issues, baggage, basically just baggage. You know, you have problems happening in your personal life, you bring that to work, and that affects your perception, that affects your attitude to people in the workplace, because you're carrying a lot of emotional, you know, problems, your problems, your emotional issues to the workplace. And that can affect, obviously, your interaction with your colleagues, your employers, customers that come into the workplace as well. So that is definitely one of the causes of conflict in the workplace. Another cause is unclear job roles. So a lack of clear job roles can create an ineffective working environment, where you come into a job with a specific job description. And I'm sure this happens a lot in you know, even in current days now, where you have several tasks that are now thrown or added to the written down job description. So you're actually doing more than what you were contracted to do. And what happens in that situation is you find that a lot of people are actually doing the same task. You have multiple people doing the same task. So there is a lot of confusion in who's responsible for this job or responsible for this task. And it does create a toxic finger pointing culture, because where things go wrong, you want to pass the buck more or less to someone else. You want someone else to take responsibility for that thing not being successful or that thing not working out successfully. So it causes, you know, it causes tension, it causes friction in the workplace, it causes employees to you know, to come up with different conflict situations, and it creates a lack of accountability. It can lead to tension, and of course that produces conflict in the workplace. So unclear job roles are another cause of conflict in the workplace. Poor communication, the discrepancy between what is said and what is heard. As you can see in the picture there, my words came out fine. They were processed incorrectly by your brain. So we have a lot of situations where, I mean, a lot of conflict basically emerges from poor communication. Someone says something, the other person hears it differently, and then there is the dispute. You know, anytime one party misunderstands or misconstrues the words or actions of another, it has the potential to create conflict. It has the potential to create conflict. Another cause of conflict is unequal opportunities. Imagine working in, just like the picture here, imagine working in an office. You, as a female, you have a colleague who's a male, you're doing the exact same job, but you know that you're getting paid less than your colleague. And why is he getting paid more? Because he's a guy or he's a man. So you have unequal pay. That can cause conflict. You don't relate well with your male colleagues because why should I do all the work? He's getting paid better than me for the same job. So he can have all the responsibilities and I'll just, and of course that will naturally cause conflict in the workplace. You have gender inequality as well. Based off of that sort of situation, you have cultural inequality, a situation where maybe you work for, you're a Yoruba person. Now, using Nigeria as a example, you're a Yoruba person. You work, your boss is an Igbo man, but you find that he has preference to those from the south. Is it southeast? I want to call it southeast of Nigeria, or the Igbo tribe more. You know, he has more of a preference towards them. He's more partial towards them. And so, of course, that can cause tension in the workplace. You know, you're not ready to give yourself to the job. You're you're already building animosity towards those of that culture because they have that special preference from their boss, from your boss. So cultural inequality, of course, is another reason why another cause of conflict in the workplace. So effects of conflict or workplace conflict, it can create decrease in job satisfaction. Naturally, if you're working in an office or you're working a job where you have so much tension, you're not feeling effective in the job role, you feel like there's too much, preference given to a certain group of people, you're not being heard. If you have a problem, no one is there to listen. Your line manager doesn't have an open door policy. Of course, you're going to feel, you're going to feel a sense of dissatisfaction with the job. You're going to feel a decrease in job satisfaction. You're not going to be happy because you don't feel valued. So this reduces power to think creatively and reduces group effectiveness as well. You're not working in your teams, with other colleagues effectively. You're not willing to contribute because you're stressed in the job. You have other disputes with other people in different areas that is also affecting your motivation in the job. So it definitely decreases job satisfaction. It lowers the organization's productivity as well. It definitely goes beyond just you as a person. Workplace conflict also stretches over to the organization as well, because when the employees are not productive or effective in their jobs and doing their jobs, the outcome as well is reduced. So the company is not getting, productivity at a level that they would have wanted it to be at.
Oh, really?
Hello? Sorry, can you mute yourself there? Thank you. Employees begin to quit. Of course, you get a lot of people, quitting their jobs after experiencing that job dissatisfaction. Discontentment can lead to resignation from jobs. If results are not in favor of people who strongly oppose certain decisions, they do not wish to work in those organizations and look for other job outlets. Like now you have this Japa syndrome where everyone is traveling abroad because certain reasons, apart from just the economic situation, a lot of people feel they'll get better jobs abroad. They're not feeling appreciated over here. And a lot of that appreciation may come from the fact that they work in a place where they're not recognized. They may work in a work environment where they're having inequality, cultural differences. They have a colleague that they're constantly at loggerheads with. And so working the job is no more pleasurable because thinking of going to the workplace and seeing that colleague puts them off. So there's a lot of reasons why people want to quit. And right now, a lot of people are jackpotting partially off of, dissatisfaction with their jobs. They want to see that if they can get better opportunities abroad, working in a different environment and a different culture. There's also mental health concerns. It's another effect of working in a workplace where you're constantly experiencing conflict or tension. More workers are absent from because of work-related stress, anxiety, depression, and mental health concerns than physical illness. Poor mental health can also lead to burnout amongst employees, seriously affecting their ability to contribute meaningfully in both their personal and professional lives. When people are having anxiety and stress over working in a certain workplace, it definitely will, increase mental health concerns. Mental health is such a big thing nowadays that a lot of people, no one takes it for granted. And, a lot of people call in sick when they have mental health issues, when they're experiencing stress or depression because of the kind of environment they work in. So that is also another effect of workplace conflict. If it's not resolved, can lead to a lot of concerns with regards to mental health. And of course, in off the back of mental health, talking about mental health, you also have the increase in absenteeism. Once people have an issue mentally or physically, health-wise, they will just not be interested in coming to work, especially if that is related to any sort of conflict in the workplace. Ongoing workplace conflict creates a stressful and emotionally challenging environment for employees. You know, having constant disagreements can just affect someone's mental state. The minute you wake up on a Monday morning and you think about going to an office where you know you're going to meet someone who wants to challenge you that day, or you know you're going to meet a boss that just doesn't like you for whatever reason, you're just not ready to get out of bed. And easily you can pick up the phone and just call in sick because you just don't want to deal with that situation. Being absent from work can also, you know, it's also negatively impacts the company. It negatively impacts the organization because the organization will now have less hands on deck that day to be productive. So absenteeism and sick leave increases when there's conflict in the workplace. And like I said before, it not only affects the employees or the employees, it also affects the employer or the organization because output will be significantly reduced when you have less people in the workplace. When you have less people working, you have high absenteeism and sick leave, it will affect the organization 100%. So understanding workplace conflicts, there are different types. Mr. Samuel spoke at length about this. So I'm just going to briefly touch on what it looks like, basically, what conflict in the workplace can look like, or the forms it takes, basically. Can everyone still hear me?
Yes, please, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much for that assurance. Okay, so we have verbal affronts. This is verbal behavior that causes significant emotional distress to an individual. You know, imagine you're working, you probably did a task or you know, a project with one of your colleagues, and you probably need clarification on something that you've seen in the project, and you call out to your colleague and he shouts back at you. I mean, you know, the different emotions and levels of a tone of communication can definitely feed back negative energy, you know, and verbal affronts is a definite way of you know, starting a conflict. If your voice is in a different tone, the other person feeds off of it and wonders, what have I done wrong? Why are you shouting at me? And then you start, that's definitely the start of a dispute or a conflict in the workplace, you know. Name calling is another form of you know, verbal aggression. It's another way of creating a conflict in the workplace. When you call someone different insulting names for no reason, it definitely will strike a chord for the other person who's receiving that, and a conflict can easily ensue from that. Verbal abuse can make the victim feel bad about themselves and create an environment where they are not able to do their best work. Not everyone even reacts to verbal affronts. If you shout at someone, some people don't even react. They hold it in, and then what do? They let it simmer inside of them, and it affects their output because they sit there for a long time thinking about what reason, why would my colleague speak to me in such a, you know, demeaning manner, and they're not able to be productive that whole day. You know, so everybody has their different way of receiving or dealing with conflicts, rather. You know, if it comes in the form of a verbal affront from someone else, how do you receive it? Are you able to communicate back in a calm manner and ask what was the problem? Because that person may have come with their baggage from their house, you know, their personal issues, they brought it to work. And you calling out to them at that point could have just put them in a very foul mood, you know. So verbal abuse in the workplace is definitely one of the forms forms that conflict can come in or takes place in the workplace. Verbal abuse in the workplace can be defined as any communication that is threatening, insulting, or malicious. And it can be either by words or by gestures. So undermining activities, what we like to call sabotage, or what they use now popularly as gaslighting. When you have colleagues or employees that, try and like publicly share mistakes that others have made. For example, publicly sharing mistakes others have made rather than sharing feedback. So imagine you're in a team meeting and you want to probably even air an opinion you have or suggest an opinion, and another colleague cuts you off and says, what a stupid idea you've just made. Instead of actually addressing it as feedback from themselves, they've actually just embarrassed you in front of everybody. And that's that's obviously a start to a dispute or a conflict in the workplace, because that's downright sabotage. So it's another form of conflict or another form of dispute arising in the workplace. Another example is interrupting when you're speaking and contradicting things you say to make others question your ideas. Same thing, where you're having a conversation in a group and you're probably, airing your own opinions and someone cuts you off rudely. It's the start of a dispute. It can stir anything up, in that moment, because you've literally just cut someone off rudely and you've made your own suggestion, over the other person's suggestion. Making jokes about someone, the person's work or their expertise, that already is an undermining activity that can create conflict in the workplace. Excuse me. Also attacking that person's work ethics and values in the workplace. These are all examples of how you can undermine someone's efforts in the workplace and create a conflict-like situation. So undermining the authority you have in the workplace, that's undermining your boss, for example, over his team. So you embarrass your boss in front of everyone because he's the type of manager you have. He's quiet, he doesn't talk a lot. So you take advantage of that opportunity because he won't address it with you. I mean, already that is a situation that can create a lot of conflict and dispute in the workplace. Claiming credit for work that you have not done. That is another undermining activity that can create conflict in the workplace. And then forming alliances and cliques, ostracizing other employees. We all know those cliques in the office. If you work in an office environment, I'm sure you're familiar with those group of people that like to keep to themselves. They gossip a lot about everybody in the workplace. They may even be backstabbing or spreading rumors about people in the workplace. And that already it's a form, or it's a breeding ground for conflict to start from. It can also be cyberbullying, where you've been probably, for example, there's an email that has been sent to the group, but one person has been singled out in the email. And this is an email that has been shared with even, that has been copied into, higher management probably has been copied into that email. But one person has been singled out in the email and, for probably work that didn't come out successful, or, negatively pointing out that person or bringing out that person. It's a form of cyberbullying as well. And of course, these cliques and alliances, they don't socialize very well with people outside their group. So people on the outside who aren't involved in these cliques or alliances feel left out. They feel, ostracized. They feel it's just a form of, it fosters incivility. So that can also bring about tension between employees in the workplace as well, and can create a breeding ground, like I said before, for conflict to ensue. So when we have conflict in the workplace, how do we resolve it? Based on the topic today, I'm looking at it from a mediator's approach. And clearly, the best solution for conflict in the workplace is to address it through mediation. Okay, so we're going to look at mediation really briefly and the role of the mediator. What is mediation? Mediation is a process where a neutral third party, the mediator, helps the disputing parties to reach a mutually agreeable settlement of their dispute. So it's basically facilitated negotiation, where the mediator sits, just like the picture there, the mediator sits in the middle with party A and party B. They can also come with their lawyers. It's not very necessary, but if they feel they need the support of their lawyers, they can also come with their lawyers. And the mediator basically facilitates the communication between both parties. The main role of a mediator, like I said, is to facilitate communication between the parties, to assist and guide the parties towards their own resolution. So it's very different from litigation. It's extremely different from going to court. The mediator is not a judge. The mediator is just there to help both parties discuss. So the parties are actually going to take the leading role in this situation. They are there to drive the conversation. They communicate with each other, and the mediator works as a facilitator between both parties to help them reach a resolution. Okay. Is everyone still with me? I hope I'm still communicating. Okay.
Very well. Very well.
Okay. So we're going to look at the qualities of a mediator so that you understand why or how a mediator is able to successfully bring about a resolution in a mediation session. So one of the skills or one of the qualities of a mediator, is that he has good communication skills. Communication is paramount in mediation. Both parties need to communicate with each other, as well as the mediator also being able to communicate with the parties. And communication, like Mr. Samuel pointed out, can be verbal and non-verbal, because as a mediator, you're paying attention to both verbal cues and non-verbal cues, or verbal communication as well as non-verbal communication. You're looking at things like body language. You're listening very carefully to what the parties are both saying. Sorry, 1 second. I just realized my laptop's about to go off. I beg your pardon for that. So, yes, the mediator controls the flow of communication and understands how to communicate and read the dynamics of the disputing parties. The mediator must continually reframe when they're hearing, when they hear negativity. So that's another very important skill of the communication skill, is that the mediator reframes or rephrases certain sentences or words that the parties have probably said in a negative way. What we're trying to do in mediation is to make sure that there's no negative or abusive language used. So as a mediator, you're trying to remove, when a party says something negative, you reframe it to remove the negative words or the negativity spoken in that sentence, to be able to communicate properly to the other party. Also in mediation, a mediator needs to summarize the details constantly. You need to make sure that you're checking that what has been said is clear to the other party as well, and that you also understand what the other party is, what the party who's speaking has said. So you're making sure you summarize when each party speaks, you summarize to get clarity and understanding, not just for yourself, but for the parties involved as well. Active listening, that's another good quality of a mediator. You need to actively listen to help focus on what a speaker is saying to best understand their message. As a mediator, you need to have excellent active listening skills to ensure you hear and retain what the parties say. This can help you recall specific details later when analyzing the situation to make a final decision. Exactly, just as it says, active listening means that you're constantly paying attention to everything that is being said. You're making notes of the important points that have been raised, and you're identifying those issues as the parties are speaking. You're actively listening and identifying the issues. You're getting to the crux of the problem. What really is the main problem here that has spiraled into this conflict or dispute? That is the active listening skill for a mediator. Creative thinking and problem-solving approach. A mediator needs to be able to have these skills, the creative thinking and problem-solving approach. Creative thinking skills help you consider all perspectives and possibilities during a mediation. You're constantly thinking whilst the parties are talking, whilst you're identifying different issues, you're thinking about how can we resolve this issue? Is there any common ground here between these two parties? What is the main problem right now and how do we solve it? That's your problem-solving approach to the situation. Considering all possibilities may help you redefine or reframe problems or perspectives to find other possibilities you or the parties may not have otherwise considered. So you're really thinking through everything to make sure that you're covering all possibilities, you're exploring all possibilities in order to help them find a solution. Empathy as well is another good quality of a mediator. Empathy relates to emotional intelligence and your ability to understand other people and their feelings. Having empathy helps you create relationships with others and have a genuine understanding of their concerns and interests. Similarly, empathy may help you understand why people act or respond in certain ways during mediation. So having that skill or ability to apply empathy during the situation is really important. That's you employing emotional intelligence during it all. You're looking at where is this party's pain point? What is the real problem here? You're trying to understand where they're coming from and why they feel the way they do, okay? And so that's another important skill of a mediator. And of course, impartiality. You cannot have a mediator that is partial. Every mediator sitting in the mediation session must be able to display impartiality. A mediator must be able to control their feelings and not invest emotionally in the outcome of the proceedings. So a mediator must not show any, you're not showing any emotions, but you're in control of your feelings. You don't have a vested interest in the outcome of that conflict, okay? You must not even have any relationship with the parties involved. That's to show how much of an impartial person you are. So that way you are better able to create, identify, and take advantage of opportunities that will help both sides. You're not there for one party or the other, you're there for both parties to help them resolve this one problem, this one dispute, okay? So what is the mediation process? I mean, trying to explain what mediation is to you and what the mediator's role is. We're also going to look at the mediation process. So you start with the pre-mediation phase, where you're trying to build confidentiality and trust in the parties. You establish the ground rules. So mediation is shrouded in confidentiality from beginning to end. Everything discussed remains confidential. Nothing discussed in a mediation session leaves that mediation session outside. Okay, so you ensure that parties understand, as a mediator, you ensure that the parties understand how deeply rooted mediation is in confidentiality. They also sign a confidentiality agreement to ensure that they understand the fact that they're not going to discuss what was, what happened in the mediation session outside of mediation, okay? So you're building that trust in them. And why do we do that? We do that so that when the session begins, people's guards are taken down. When parties feel like their issues can still be discussed beyond that process, they're guarded. They don't want to discuss the main issues that they're having, the main problem they're having. They don't even open up to communicate properly. But the minute they are confident that their problems are not going to be taken outside of that session, they let their guards down. And that's a very good way to start mediation, because you want the process to be seamless. You want the parties to communicate. You want them to interact and discuss this issue so that they can come to a resolution. You're also establishing the ground rules and the guidelines, because in mediation, as much as as it is an informal process, we still need to be able to establish ground rules that can kind of guide the parties through the process successfully. So the ground rules are, there's no phones allowed. Phones should be switched off because there's no recordings allowed as well. Another ground rule is no use of abusive language, because we're adults. Everyone is, we're being respectful of everyone in that space, and no interruptions. Let each party speak and air their opinions and discuss their problems respectfully, and of course, no abusive language or interrupting during that process. And then setting the agenda and the goals for the mediation. You want to be able to identify what each party's problems are with regards to the conflict or the dispute on the table. So that is where you set the agenda. What is it that you want as an outcome? What do you expect from this mediation at the end of the day? What is your take home from this situation is what you want to be able to identify through the mediation process. And then you go into the mediation session. Obviously, you've created a safe space, a respectful environment for the parties to interact. You have the opening statement, and then you go into a private caucus with each party at some point to be able to extract the real problems, to get to the core of their issues, and also to be able to identify common ground so that you can help the parties settle their disagreement effectively. You're also practicing your active listening skills. You're summarizing as a mediator. You're paying attention to all the things they're saying. You're making sure there's good communication between the parties. Like I said, you're identifying common interests and shared goals. And then you're generating potential solutions through brainstorming. This is where your problem-solving skills kick in as well during the mediation session. Hopefully, you're able to get to get the parties to a stage where they can agree, have a mutually beneficial agreement, and then you move into the post-mediation phase, which is where the terms of settlement is written. And of course, it is binding on the parties because both parties will agree by signing to the terms of settlement, and it's also enforced by an ADR judge. Okay, so it is binding on the parties. Is everyone still with me?
Yes.
I know I'm talking a lot.
Yes.
I'm looking at time, so.
Yes, we are with you, please. Go ahead. We're enjoying it.
You can conclude. Yes, we are with you.
Okay.
And you are doing very well.
Oh, thank you so much, Mrs. Wala. Thank you. So we're looking at the benefits of mediation in the workplace. So after going through this whole process, what is the reason for it? How do we benefit from it? Or how does the environment, the workplace environment, benefit from a mediation, a successful mediation? Well, some of the points are you have an improved relationship. One of the major benefits of mediation is that it restores or it keeps relationships going. So as much as you have a conflict, the way mediation deals with it is that you don't forget who that person was to you in the first place. It restores your relationship back to its status quo. So when you and an employer or an employee, a coworker, have a conflict, it might get nasty, but through the mediation process, we're able to, sort of keep that relationship going. The relationship is not marred by the conflict. Instead, it helps improve the relationship. And it also helps improve collaboration in the workplace because you forget that, okay, it's not like litigation where you take someone to court and it's you can lose that case because the other person is winning. Mediation is a win-win situation. So both parties leave with agreed, a mutually beneficial agreement, which is why the relationship stays good. Things remain improved in the relationship. It also increases employee satisfaction and morale. Like we said before, when there's a conflict in the workplace, it reduces employee satisfaction. Employees are dissatisfied with their jobs. But what happens when you're able to resolve those conflicts immediately? You don't let it fester in the workplace. Employees are they have that confidence that, okay, if I have an issue here and we're able to quickly resolve it with mediation, because one of the benefits of mediation is that it is fast, it's faster than litigation. So if you're able to quickly resolve those conflicts, your employees are happier. They're able to get back to work. Their morale is improved. They're able to be more productive and give more of a better output in the workplace than having a conflict fester in the workplace that reduces their output. So one of the benefits of mediation is that it increases employee satisfaction. It also enhances productivity. I've just said that here as well, that employees are more productive when they know that a simple conflict can be easily resolved and they can get back to work. They're not bogged down by the issues that they constantly come to work with, seeing on a daily basis. Those issues can be easily resolved and they can get back to being productive and work better in a team. It's also cost effective and time efficient compared to litigation, for example. Definitely mediation does not cost as much as litigation. Litigation, as we all know, can take years and years and years, whilst mediation is a lot faster and can be easily resolved. You can get your dispute or your conflict quickly resolved through mediation faster than it is with litigation. So in conclusion, of course, mediation is as important and valuable a tool for resolving workplace conflicts. It's really, really effective. And I would like to appeal to everyone listening. If you haven't had or experienced mediation before, please consider it as a very effective tool in resolving any sort of conflict, including workplace conflicts. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much I appreciate your time as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Over to you, Nanchan.
This is really amazing and very, very interesting. I've said it before that we have a team of experts in this area, and they have done justice to the topic. Well, this is a webinar, and we don't intend to keep you so long. You can see that the conversation gets so interesting that I almost forgot. We almost forgot the time, but it's really an interesting one. Maybe with time we can organize a proper training where we'll take out time to actually discuss these issues properly, in form of a training instead of just a webinar of a few minutes. So please, if you have questions you want to ask our speakers, they are here with us. Please, you can indicate by raising your virtual hand, and we will give you the opportunity to do so. Please indicate if you have any question. Meanwhile, before those that are here will ask the question, we have some questions that were sent beforehand. If you want, one of the question has to do with Mr. Samuel, are you with us?
Yes, please, Your Excellency.
Okay, good.
Yes,
so,
yes.
All right, thank you very much. So, the question, number one question is, somebody wants to know that will it be necessary to have a mediation in a neutral place or location and not in the office where the dispute occurs? That's one of the questions. And the second question is, how can dispute between patients and healthcare providers be resolved? How can disputes between patients and healthcare providers be resolved? And the next question is, what is the best approach to a colleague that you found backbiting you? What is the best approach to a colleague you find backbiting you? And the other question is, how can you handle a boss that don't appreciate your effort? How do you handle a boss that does not appreciate your effort? And how can one help a boss that have trust issues? Your boss doesn't trust you. How can you help out? So over to you. Maybe you can pick the questions you feel comfortable to share your thoughts on.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Nachang. And I want to appreciate Madam LOLIA DEAL-OLIGBO for that very, very insightful presentation. Thank you so much. I am better informed than the way I was when I joined. Thank you. And to all those that have sent in their questions, thank you so much. I wouldn't know.
Yes, sorry, those that are following online can also, those following online can as well send their questions, please. Yes, please.
Permit me to confirm, am I going to choose from these questions that have been asked, or there are some that have been directed specifically to me, or to, so in what order do you want us to respond?
Okay, let me say, question number 1, can you answer question number 1?
Okay.
Answer. And question number 1 and 2.
Okay. Question number 1 has to do with
seeking
guidelines and clarification as to the location of the settlement of the dispute. I want to look at it from this angle. Who has been contracted to act as a mediator in the issue? Is it an individual within the organization? Is it an individual outside the organization? Or is it an institute that have been contracted to serve as a mediator in the issue? So these are questions we must answer. If the mediator is internal, because some organizations have their dispute resolution unit where they have trained mediators that handle issues. If the mediator is an internal member of staff, then I'm sure they have their dispute resolution facility, the hall or the office that they can use, maybe counselors, therapists that they can use in intervening. But in most cases, it may be the choice of the party, or let's look for an external location. I remember we talked about exported and imported conflict. Oh, let's look at an external occasion. The conflict may be between the community, the host community of the organization and the organization itself. It's also a form of workplace conflict. So these are the questions you must ask yourself. What are the parties involved and who is the mediator? If an external mediator has been contracted, like a freelance mediator has been contracted to mediate in the issue, it is the duties of the party to agree on where they are going to use. But if a mediation institute has been contracted to intervene in the dispute, the question is this: the mediation institute has the prerogative in line with the parties to decide where they are going to use, either in their institute or in their facility or in any other place. According to the AMA, the Arbitration and Mediation Act 2023, the location for mediation is based on the agreement between the parties and the mediator. So it can be resolved internally.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Question 2, sir. How can a dispute between a patient and health worker briefly be resolved?
From that question, it's obvious that the health worker is a member of the organization. and the patient is not a member of the organization. So you have someone from the outside and someone from inside having a dispute. I am sure that the hospital or the health facility will have an ADR facility within their premises. But most times, the patient may pick up an action against the healthcare provider in an external environment. If they have chosen to go to mediation, we all know what mediation entails, just like the way my fellow resource persons explained. Their statement of issues is being filed, statement of response are being filed. Both parties are asked to put in, oh, what is the issue? There's the pre-session, there's the mid-session, and during the mid-session, options are explored, knowing fully well that both parties are given the right to state their claims, and we see where we can use facilitative mediation to bring about peaceful resolution. We also said all matters cannot be successfully resolved. Matters will be resolved, they may not be resolved. It depends on the parties involved. But we are encouraging all organizations to create a unit, a department for mediation. And in undertaking that, they can seek to undergo trainings from different institutes. I'm aware that SHATI House organizes accreditation in these regards. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much for that, LOLIA. Okay, so can you answer the remaining questions?
The third question.
No, question number 3, 4, and 5. What's the best approach to a colleague that you found backbiting? Yes. Then how can you handle the boss that don't appreciate your effort? And how can one help a boss that have trust issues?
Okay, with regards to the colleague that is backbiting, I think communication is really key. There's the reason why a lot of conflicts ensue in the workplace is because people don't communicate. People, walk away from situations with their own thoughts, assuming, oh, this is what the situation is, and it always is something else. You always get it wrong. And that's because there's no communication. So I think communication is essential in the workplace. If you feel that you have a colleague that is backbiting, why not communicate with that colleague? Not in an aggressive way. Don't go there with verbal affronts and say, I heard this or I heard that, but come from an approach where you want to understand what the situation really is, because it may not be backbiting. It may be some other reason, but who knows? If you don't ask or you don't communicate, you'll never really understand the basis or where that person, where the story of backbiting is emanating from. So I think communication is really essential. Approach the person, speak calmly with them, try and come from an understanding point of view that you want to understand what is causing this, assumption of backbiting, and get to the root of the problem. Maybe it isn't what you think it is. And most of the time, I really believe that that's and you can actually rectify whatever that problem is with the person just by communicating with them clearly, having that conversation and ironing out a lot of whatever the issues may be. So that's my answer to that question, number 3. Number 4, about handling a boss that doesn't appreciate you, I think it's the same approach as well. Most bosses have an open door policy, and take advantage of it. If you feel that your boss doesn't appreciate the work that you put in, what is the reason for it? Your boss may not be communicating to you why he doesn't show value to you. Why not walk in there, take advantage of the open door policy, communicate with your boss your concerns or what you may be perceiving is the issue, and actually understand whether that is his problem with you or not, whether his issue of not valuing what you do is really based on what you're not doing. You may not be paying attention to the things that you're not even contributing in the office, and he's not communicating that with you. So like I said before, communication is really key in the workplace. You can't work off of assumptions and think this person doesn't like me, or this person has a certain preference, or doesn't value my output or input. You really do need to have that communication, have those conversations, and figure out where you're coming from. Maybe your boss doesn't even know that's the perception he's giving, so you highlighting it in a very calm and civilized manner may give him some insight into how you feel, and it could change his perception and the way he actually, addresses your work and how you, your contribution in the workplace. And then question number 4. Okay, how to address a boss with trust issues, right? I guess you just have to build up trust, figure out what it is that, are you not doing your job effectively? Are you not covering, your bases, or, fulfilling all your KPIs? Analyze some of the things that you're also doing in the workplace. Probably even analyze it with your employee, your co-workers rather, see how that's going. And like I said before as well, one of the main issues for conflict in the workplace is lack of communication. So, find a way to communicate with your boss to, not to ask directly what his issues, trust issues, or lack of trust issues are, but to try and delve into the situation. Like I said, as a mediator, the qualities of a mediator, you want to also apply that in that situation, because these are skills that you can teach yourself. These are skills that you can learn. And these are skills that you can equally apply as an employee in the workplace to try and figure out what the problems are that you're encountering there with either your boss or your co-workers, colleagues, the like. So.
Thank you very much. What a wonderful session. I believe that you properly explained the questions that were asked, and it's actually an interesting moment being with you in this platform. Thank you very much. Just to add a little to what has been said, sometimes we need to learn about communication and then try to find out the truth about a situation. Sometimes you may just use your own perception of what you feel it is. It may not actually be a trust issue. It's just because you've not had opportunity to have a conversation with the person. And so there will be possibility of misunderstanding. Thank you very much for all the participants who participated. And may I use this opportunity to appreciate especially our speakers, Mr. Samuel Orobosa Osarenren. That's a very interesting Nigerian native name. And
thank you so much.
You can see the name LOLIA DEAL-OLIGBO. I know these are very, very fascinating and interesting names, and I want to appreciate you all on behalf of the governing body of Settlement House ADR Training Institute. We appreciate you, we value you, we thank you for creating time out of your busy schedule to be with us and impart knowledge. And what you have taught in this session is going to add to the body of materials for mediators, non-mediators, workers, employees alike, who may want to find out 1 or 2 ways of managing and resolving conflict. Thank you very much. Now,
thank you for having me.
Yes. One of the major things that keeps coming up is we have to learn and learn. We have to learn, relearn, and unlearn. Now we have opportunities where you can learn about some of these skills that have been highlighted. We have trainings coming up. Perhaps you want to be a mediator, or you want to enhance your skill, in how to manage conflict, whatsoever it is, you know, we have a training coming up in this month, just next week, Monday. It's a mediation skills training and certification that is coming up on Monday, 26th to 30th of June, 2023. So if you are interested, you can reach out. Our website is there. Our phone numbers are there. And then possibly our emails will be dropped there. Perhaps you are interested in the training. We have training for members, and we have training for members of the public, and we also have categories for students. So if you are interested in partaking in the training, please reach out, and it will be very exciting. Before we call it a day, do we have any comment from the house before we call it a day? Our time is fast spent, and we are looking forward to a proper training on mediation, proper training on workplace conflict, and then we hope that all of you will be available to join the training. So please, do we have any comment before we call it a day? Okay, I guess that we are all good. So I want to thank all the participants who started the session with us from the beginning to this very moment. And I wish to invite you for the next edition of the Settlement Hour. If you are not on the Settlement Hour platform, you can join the platform to have more information about upcoming events. You know, thank you very much. I can see somebody raises his hand. Is there somebody?
Mr. Nachan, I'm engineer. Yes, please.
Yes.
Mr. Nachan. Mr. Nachan, this is engineer Denya Accra, Ghana. Can you please share the slides with us? Hello.
Okay, I can hear you.
Well, I will appreciate it so much if you can share the slides with us or with me.
Okay, we have actually sent a message for those who are interested in this. Maybe you can send send a message to the chat. You can join the Settlement Hour platform, or send a message to the numbers that are on this chat box. Did you get me?
I'm on all your platforms. I think I have 2 or 3 platforms. I'm on all the platforms.
Just send a personal message and it will be responded to. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your organization all the time.
Thank you. Yes, you can also send an email. To us. So in the absence of any other thing, you can see the training is on the screen. For those who are interested in partaking in the training, please reach out, and our emails is also there. Our contact number is also there. Let's see how we can take this to the next level. So thank you for everyone who participated. We can now call it a day.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you everyone for your time, for logging in. Take care, have a good day.
You too, thank you.
Thank you so much. Madam Lola DEAL-OLIGBO, you're a great woman. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you, and same here.
It's a pleasure being here with you. Thank you. Well, we are looking forward to having a complete package of a proper training you know, for those who want to go into workplace conflict, and then we'll reach out. I can see that there are a lot of things that needs to be taught, but you know, this is just a moment to sensitize the people. We will work out some modalities and see how this can actually be done. When we have people who are conversant with this, it will go a long way to reduce the extent of conflict we have and make our organizations more effective. So I think this is one of the trainings that we should promote within our society and organizations. Thank you very much. I cannot say more than this. We appreciate you. Yes. Thank you.
All right, then. Take care, everyone.
All right. Thank you.